and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known throughout the United States and internationally as the Money Lady. And for the last almost 40 years, if you can believe that, I have been dedicated to educating, informing, and empowering individuals just like you to prosper and to leave a legacy for your family that is everlasting. So today is no exception. I am here today, thank God, alive and among the living and great health, feeling wonderful, and just excited about another opportunity to share with you my thoughts and my insights over so many years of handling money, everything from real estate to insurance, investments, international lines of credit, letters of credit, all of those things that are part of my career. If you'd like to learn more about my world, you're welcome to go to The Power of Money, and that's thepowerof.money, and you can look at videos, or you can go to my formal website, which is themoneylady.us, where you can get a little background and history about who I am and what makes my world so amazing and wonderful. But moving right along, today we're going to be talking about, for the next hour, a subject that many of you will be experiencing if you haven't experienced right now. And that is, if you're in the workplace and you're working every day from 9 to 5 or whatever your hours of work are, you know that just like you were hired, there's a distinct possibility that you will be fired. Now, I share with people, the thing about this firing thing is either you quit or you're fired. There isn't really a middle ground. Even when you retire, that's called firing with grace, which is they wanted you out of there, your time was done, and you were done, and they want you gone. So I want to talk about this because it is my assessment, again, as a banker and as an economist and a money lady, that corporations are continuing to consolidate, to merge, to be bought out, to buy out. And all of this has to deal with people, because when corporations downsize, they let go of people to keep their costs under control. When corporations merge, they get rid of people because they don't need two people doing the same job. When corporations are acquired by other corporations, they start from the top down, particularly depending upon the acquisition price, which is how much did I have to pay to buy that puppy. If they paid a premium, then you're going to see a lot of things begin to happen, starting at the very top, but migrating all the way down to the bottom as well. Most notably, Hertz made a huge acquisition several years ago of a very successful mid-range car rental company, Dollar. And it was not, in my estimation, a good acquisition. They paid way too much for this company. And then they leveraged borrowed monies from hedge funds and others who loaned risk capital, that's money that's risky, to make this happen. Hertz did not have all of that. But they did this, and they've never really quite got their footing back because Dollar was an excellent company. Hertz was an okay company, riding on its name and its brand. But when they made that acquisition, all those people were thrown in a quandary, because how do you rebrand? How do you train? Do you get rid of people? How do you pay off all that debt? Do you try to increase sales? Do you try to cut costs? All these are part of corporate decision making that has to deal with strategy. And if you don't understand that, you're going to be in a workplace situation and not understand what the heck is going on. Let me give you another example. And this is happening, and it's happening more and more, which is the newsprint industry. The good old days of buying newspapers on the stand, that's changed because many of them, to cut costs, are going digital. Digital means you read about them online. You don't buy a paper. You go to your internet, and you can subscribe at a very modest price because, frankly, it's cheaper to dump information on the net through your own digital platform than to try to sell stuff in stands, newspaper stands and things. So again, you got that because there are people affected in that arena. I remember with the Cincinnati Enquirer, whole divisions were just eliminated as they struggled to survive and to move into a new world. it's going to continue. It's going to continue. People are going to lose their jobs, some permanently, some will transit into other industries. Procter & Gamble is a notable company that's restructuring and going back to its standard brands, which is a good thing, I might add, because they were all over the place. They were doing makeup, they were doing pet care, and those were the days where people thought they could do everything, and they found out that you need to go back to your core products that made your money and stabilize and make your shareholders happy and make your line management happy. And so a lot of people got sliced, diced, and given the goodbye, have a nice day. Many of them were in shock, because who could imagine after 20 years of working for such a fine Fortune 100 company to find yourself on the cutting block? It wasn't personal, but it felt personal. But it wasn't personal, because they needed to go back to their core brands. And so management kind of light bulb went off and said, you know what, we need to restructure, and we need to close divisions. We need to sell off divisions. We need to get lean and mean. Another classic example that's taking place right now is General Electric. General Electric had diversified into so many industries and occupational classes. They didn't even know who they were. And neither did their stockholders. And folks were not really that happy, because profitability wasn't where it could have been and where it should have been. So they're in the process, as we speak, of dumping stuff. They just, I've forgotten how many billions of dollars was involved in trying to sell a financial subsidiary to Capital One. Who thought Capital One was going to be doing that? Capital One did credit cards for consumers. But Capital One is essentially in the credit industry. So it made sense for them to buy this particular asset that GE was trying to get out of. There are going to be jobs lost in that particular transaction, because Capital One is not going to need all those people that were associated with that other financing company that was under General Electric. I'm just trying to give you a snapshot. I'm not trying to bore you, because many of you probably are asleep, but I am just going to share this with you as a point of reference and as a point of conversation. There are three things you got to know to wake up. One of them is education. This program is about financial education, helping you to grow your awareness. The other thing is you have to have experience, and this is something young people don't know much about because they're young. But those of us that are older know that experience is a harsh teacher. Once you're out here in the game and you're getting beat up and slugged and punched and everything and making bad decisions and all the things that go along with life, because life is an experience. Whoa. Number three, exposure. You don't have exposure to all the things I'm talking about and sharing with you about, then it can change your filtering agent. Meaning, if you didn't know companies are merging and consolidating and dumping people, then when it comes by your little bush, then you're going to be surprised. And so those three components, education, experience, and exposure, create a mindset that says, I am aware. And it's only when you are aware, viewers, that you can begin to maneuver and strategize what you need to be prepared for, so as to be no one's fool. This is what is so sorrowful about America and Americans, the wealthiest country on the earth. But so many of our citizenry are completely unaware of what is going on. They have been caught up in the day-to-day humdrum of getting through the day. I gotta go to work. I gotta fix dinner. I gotta watch TV. I gotta go to sleep because I gotta go back to this job again. And therefore, they are completely blindsided when things come their way. That's the reason I want to put all this in perspective and let you know I'm not into hyper anything. As the money lady for over 38 years and counting, because as long as I'm waking up breathing, I'm still here. But as a money lady counting, I'm telling you, I need you to wake up and become aware so that you can make the necessary decisions to transform and to survive. Because to be asleep when stuff starts happening is devastating. And I'm serious. I do not believe that homeless families got homeless by accident. I believe they were asleep. When stuff hit people in Detroit, all those factory workers, all those people, that when Detroit shut down, I'm serious, they started moving product to Mexico and overseas, and all these people that thought that they would always be working for these companies found themselves permanently, not temporarily, permanently laid off, let go, etc. And then their unemployment ran out, and then they couldn't get jobs, and then they didn't want to relocate, and on and on and on. And I am telling you, there were literally thousands of families. I'm talking about families. I'm talking to you about what I saw and witnessed. Families that were completely out of touch and out of a home, out of a car, and living on the street. I tell you as a truth, it was the most sorrowful, pathetic thing that I've ever seen, which is entire families living in cardboard boxes and trying to eke out a living in America. This has not gone away, by the way, okay? Detroit has not come back to Detroit. And the automobile industry, if they don't get their act together in the United States, they're going to find their competitors from Asia, India, right here in the U.S. with Tesla and their electric cars. Oh, yeah, electric cars aren't going anywhere, okay? They're efficient. They're cheap, and people have got to be willing to meet the market. Whether you like Tesla or not, it doesn't matter. Google them, find out about them. Google some of the other manufacturers in other parts of the world that are making cheap cars, all those little teeny weeny cheap cars you see, those are made in India, okay? My mother said she wanted one. I said, absolutely not. It's bad enough that you are a senior, but to be running around in a teeny weeny car, no way. Get yourself a car, okay? So I'm saying all these things to say things are changing, things are restructuring, and I'm trying to lay a foundation because that's the way I teach. I believe in giving people a framework, a point of reference, something they can look at and think about as I move forward into this could happen to you, okay? And if it's already happened to you, then now you're in the realm called experience. Remember the 3 E's? Education, experience, and exposure. So now you're in the arena, if it's happened to you, called experience. And you now know that your loyalty doesn't mean much when they're trying to restructure and they're trying to handle their business. And so as I share with people, since I've been on both sides of the fence, more time as a business owner than working for corporate, but I do know what corporate America looks like because I'm telling you, I was right there in the fray in the investment division, and it was brutal, ugly, all the above, and you had to handle your business or else you were out the door. That's right. Wall Street does not play with anybody. If you don't work your stuff, you're gone. Next, have a nice day. That's it. That's how they look at it, which is, you know, we can get another one, as Beyonce sings. I can get another one just like the other one. And so we have that mindset. So today, for those of you just tuning in, say, what's she talking about today? I'm talking about what you do if you lose your job. Whether you quit it because you just couldn't take it anymore, or whether you're fired, which is you got to go, whether it's laid off or whether it's retired, okay? Because when you're retired, they're telling you, you can't come back. You're done. Get on with your life. And as a sidebar, before I talk about that, for those of you that have left companies, would you kindly take your money with you? Would you do that? Would you take your money with you? The company does not want to manage your 401k money when you're gone. In fact, little known, many companies are putting that money into a segregated account, separate from the working population that they have, and putting it into an account that does not earn much of anything, because they figure if you don't care, we don't care, and off they are to the races. So I say to you, listen, when you retire, roll over your money. Do a Roth, which is you pay the tax on it, and it goes into a IRA rollover account that you can access as a legitimate part of your retirement plan. Okay? They're available. You can do trustee to trustee without any tax implications. If you do get the money, you got to monitor it because it's got to be in somebody else's account that's a tax qualified trust, or else you're going to get whacked with a penalty that's going to spin your head. Okay, that is typically the case unless you're over 59 and a half, and the rules are 59 and a half to 70 and a half. You can actually begin to take withdrawals from your tax qualified plan wherever it is. But you do not want to do that with your former employer, because that's not what the money's there for. When you work there, you contributed on a tax preferred basis, meaning you didn't pay money on those taxes, and your employer many times matched you up to a certain percent. Sometimes they didn't. But the point is that that money was there while you were working. And why, oh why do I run into so many people today who continue to leave their money with former employers? And they may have 3 or 4 employers, particularly if they're younger people. Oh, I got a little bit of money here, and I'm like, really? You got it like that? Where you can leave your money with somebody that is a part of your past? I mean, it's like a divorce. When it's done, unless they're children. And you're not connecting and hooking up. That's why you're divorced. So why is it so hard for you to take your money when you leave a company? Like I said, you just make application, and hopefully you have sat down with an advisor such as myself and gone through your options so that you know where you want to move your money, and make that happen for yourself before you really find yourself in a bad situation. And I do mean that. But I'm going to move forward. I just wanted to rewind and bring up this issue about if you're out of the workplace, stop leaving your money with your employer. Stop it. That is so whack, as the kids say. That's whack. Why? Well, I didn't know. Well, get some help. Talk to people that do this. Wherever you're watching, deal with people that are credible, that are trusted advisors that can help you to do that so that you can move on with your life and your money, okay? And your money. So let's talk about what happens when you get that pink slip or get that golden watch or golden pin or bouquet of flowers, something that says, oh, have a nice day, goodbye. The first thing I tell everyone is that you should never be in a panic. If you have been watching me over the years, you know that my first recommendation is that everyone accumulate an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a fund that essentially is for emergencies, that you accumulate between 6 months and 1 year of salary in that account. It has to be fairly liquid. You can't put it into the stock market, okay? Or mutual funds, okay? You need something that's available and that is right there for you for emergency. Now, job loss definitely constitutes an emergency, okay? And that's money that is there. And if you're single and you've accumulated $30,000, $40,000 in that account, no, you're not making a bunch of money because it's an emergency account. It's money that's sitting there that you can get without any questions asked, okay? So you want to have your emergency fund first. If you don't have an emergency fund, then you're going to have to start scrambling, because the emergency fund literally was your cushion. Okay, it really was. In addition to the emergency fund, if you've been watching this show, you know I'm a proponent of traditional whole life insurance as well as term. They both do different things. But the nice thing about whole life insurance is you probably have money known as cash value in that life insurance policy that you can borrow against. That's right. 10 grand, take it. You need it. Who cares? You need it. The insurance company does not hold back on that money. When you make a request, typically in writing, email, phone call, depends. They will cut a check and send you your money. Boom, just like that. That's nice, by the way, particularly when you're trying to figure out what am I going to do here, okay? So those are two quick ways to get your money. The other thing I recommend is your first order of business when you get that pink slip is that you contact your human resources department. And they probably already know because they're the ones that signed off on you being let go. So when you contact them, you want to find out what are your post-employment benefits? What benefits will continue? How long? And how much? Now, some benefits, like your health, probably aren't going to continue. So you're going to find yourself having to go into the marketplace to get health insurance. And again, that can be stressful, but you're going to have to do it because you don't want to be unemployed and then get sick and have no way to pay for it. That is just called a bad story. So you want to look at the health benefits and continuation. You want to see if there are any other products or services that can continue after you've lost your job. Some of them have job counseling. Some of them will pay for you to go back to school to get additional training skills. Can you believe that? Some of the big companies are doing that. And that is so forward thinking because their position is, we don't hate you, and we're willing to pay a little bit, and some of them all, for you to transition into another industry. And I tell people, if you're into that situation, that's money. That's money in the bank that you don't have to borrow. You don't have to, you just take advantage of it. And for many of my listeners and viewers, you need to go back to school, okay? School is ever learning today. The big industries, when you came out, are probably not the big industries today. The big industries today is the healthcare industry and technology. Why? Because thanks to Affordable Care Act, there are now millions of people who are eligible to see doctors, which is putting a real press on the healthcare industry. In every area, there's not enough trained specialists to offer care. So you can go to school. You don't have to go and get a degree program like a MA or a PhD. You can go and become a surgical technician or a radiologist or something like that that is a part of that blossoming, growing expansively industry. Healthcare is going to be here for a long time. And I'm saying this as a fact, not as a speculation. You see all the buildings coming up all over the United States. Those buildings are being financed through hedge funds who are risk capital lenders, Wall Street based. They're lending monies to hospitals to build these buildings. Why do you think they're lending money to hospitals? Because, frankly, with all these millions of new people coming on board, hospitals are going to need more hospitals. And they're also going to need more doctors. And they're also going to need more nurses and more nurse practitioners who are probably going to trump doctors because, frankly, nurse practitioners are awesome. They do all the work, and they actually care about you. So I have a preference for nurse practitioners. I have a nurse practitioner. I actually dumped my doctor. Why? Because he just didn't have time. And she was caring, and she was seasoned, and she took care of my business. And I just love her. And I'm cool with it. I'm okay with it, okay? But I'm saying to those of you that have been in a traditional manufacturing mindset, if a company is willing to help you to transition into another industry, look at industries that are growing. If you're not sure, Google the term industries that are growing, and you will come up with a ton of industries that you need to look at. This is the power of internet, viewers. You don't have to guess anymore. Just Google it. Type it in, put a question mark, and see what comes up. And it can be a career changer and maybe even a life changer for you and your family. So you want to check and see what are the packages that are available from HR from your company. Typically, the insurance that they offered under their group life is not going to be available when you leave. Now, that's not good. Why do I say that? Because now you have to come into the marketplace on your own and try to get insurance. And before you ask me, well, why do I need insurance? What are you talking about? Why do you need insurance? You need insurance because there's a distinct probability that you're going to die. And the older you get, the higher the premiums, because insurance companies have kind of figured that one out. So the challenge is for many of you, particularly if you're coming out of city governments that are downsizing like crazy, they're just downsizing because they don't have any money, and you have to go. And they got to balance their books by charter, by mandate, and it's too many people. What happens with so many people that have been under group programs that are employer-owned insurance contracts. I have insurance with my employer. No, you don't. The employer has insurance on you. Okay, you pay a little bit because you're going up under a group experience, not you. But when you come out of into the marketplace, now you got to stand on your own. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of you are going to have a shockingly rude awakening, which is why I've consistently recommended get your own insurance. I don't care who you're working for. Get your own insurance because it's yours. God bless the child that has his or her own. So what happens, and I'm telling you what I know. Person comes in, they've been let go, they want insurance. I do a write-up on them. I find out in the course of asking questions, because insurance companies ask a whole lot of questions. Have you ever had diabetes? Have you ever had asthma? Do you suffer from a chronic condition like high blood pressure? All these questions. And let me tell you something. This is the shocker when you find out that you are rated. Rated means you're bad risk and you will pay more. Or in one particular person's situation, they have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea, which is you don't sleep consistently, and ultimately your brain begins to be impacted because it doesn't get enough oxygen. It's a major problem. People that have sleeplessness, can't sleep, snore loudly, have diagnosed as sleep apnea. Rough to get insurance on, because insurance companies have wised up, which is, you're not getting enough oxygen in your brain, which means that your brain may start malfunctioning, which may mean, doesn't necessarily, but may mean that you're headed down the road to Alzheimer, you're headed down the road to memory loss, you're heading down the road to a diseased brain. We don't know what you're heading down the road for, but for sure, we don't want you. So all these things begin to come to the table when you go to the marketplace on your own without the covering of an employer's group plan. And the older you get, the more challenging it is. So many times I wind up having to write policies for low amounts that are basically final expense policies. We call them burial policies. Less than $25,000. Person says, but I need more than that. I can't get you more than that because of your health conditions. Well, why didn't somebody tell me this when I was working? I don't know why. The purpose of your company is not to educate you on the world of money. The purpose of your employer is to make sure that you do your job per your job description. That's their limit. Now, some of them are more altruistic. Some of them may offer you cafeteria plans, benefits, but it's no giveaway. All that stuff is tax deductible for the corporation. All that good stuff that they're doing for you, the IRS said, you're so nice, you can write it off. So their job is still not to educate you. You have to go into the marketplace, and you have to educate yourself. You have to listen to my show, go to seminars, read, be alert, and be on point. And that's how you learn, so as to be nobody's fool. So, human resources is your first stop. Many of them will give you a package that says how much money you have in your 401k, that lets you know if you have any kind of profit-sharing monies, what you need to do to get your money. They will not advise you how to roll it over anything. You've got to check with your the manager of the other account where the monies are held. They will typically give you disclosure on what you can do with your money. Some HR departments do. They just say you have the option to roll your money in, and this is out, and this is what you need to do, particularly with deferred comp plans with governments and entities such as that. That's where it begins, okay, if you're working, your HR people. But again, as I said earlier, and for those of you just tuning in, I'm talking about what do you do when you lose your job, whether you're fired, laid off, or you just quit because you can't take it no more, okay? Talking to you about what to do. So, getting back on point, you've done your HR thing. You've got your emergency fund in place that you've accumulated over the years, hoping to never have to use it, but now there it is. You got some cash value in your life insurance, whole life only, that you can leverage and borrow against, okay? And incidentally, on cash value loans, you don't ever have to repay them. You don't. If you don't, it comes against your death benefit amount. So you got that going on. And now you got your HR stuff going on. And hopefully for many of you, you can consider going back to school and retraining into an industry that has a flourishing future. Because truthfully, manufacturing doesn't. Not in the United States of America. And I'm not talking about go USA, we buy USA. The massive outflow of jobs because of NAFTA. Ross Perot was right. You may have thought he was a wacky rich man, but Ross Perot was right, which is those jobs are out of here and you're done. We didn't believe him, so here we are, caught up in the move. Those jobs are not coming back. Manufacturing as we know it will be different, very different. Pay won't be as great, no benefits, no union. You line up with everybody else on the globe, okay, which is you work to eat, and you eat to work. Rah, rah. That's where we are. So, moving ahead quickly, because time is kind of moving on. So you've got those things in place. You've got your alternatives in place. And now you must develop your budget. You must look at what you have that can go liquid now. Immediate liquid. So if you're in the market with stocks and positions in stocks, out. You need to be out anyway. Market's too turbulent, overbought, too chaotic, and not going to get better. I wish I could say this. I read a post this morning about all the Japanese coming over here buying real estate, etc. And the person was looking a little miffed, and I was like, have you looked at Japan lately? They're debt-ridden. They've never come out of the Fukuyama, all this other stuff happening to them. They're broke. So people that have money are looking for stability. They don't care where they live, where their families live. They're looking for money stability. So of course they're going to be over here trying to buy property through their kinsmen who live here. Why not? Money's got to move. That's a money rule. Money cannot stay stagnant. Money has to move. So they're over here buying real estate property. It makes good sense to me, okay? And you're going to be seeing more and more of this. But relative to your situation, when you are in crisis mode, and a job loss means just that, you are in crisis mode until you get another job, or if you want to start your own business, then you're going to be in crisis mode for 5 years. 5, because it's 3 to 5 years to stabilize your business. Those are the rules in the market, okay? I don't care how brilliant you are. It's going to take some time to build your company, to staff up, to grow it, to do this, and then ultimately you make a little bit of money, and you're like, whew, where's all the money? The money is now in your new baby, your business. It sucked everything. It's like Pampers on steroids, okay? So anyway, there you are. Now, if you're in the market, and again, you need to move that money into something that's stable, 13-week treasuries or cash, but you need to get it out, preferably out, because you're going to need it. Okay, particularly if you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And now you turn on the spigot for networking. If you're not a networker, you've never been a networker, this isn't going to sound good at all, because you're going to have to get out here and you're going to have to talk to people. And it doesn't mean they're going to offer you any jobs or give you any leads. But you do need to get accustomed to the new way of communication. Everything's done on computer and smartphone. Can you believe that? Everything. Job hunting, monster.com, all these venues that are all online. You can't call an employment situation in a company. They won't take your call. They'll route you to Monster. They'll route you to other venues to look for jobs. If you're not accustomed to job hunting like that, it can be very, very, very painful, because you really feel like I'm out of my league. Well, you know what? You better get in that league, and you better get in that league fast. There are free classes, etc. If you'll check your paper, if you'll check your internet about how to job search, how to network, and what you need to do. And believe me, it is not funny today, because smartphones are expensive. They're not like your regular landline, you know, the one that you pick up and you say hi and hang up. No, a smartphone is a walking computer, and you would want to know how to use it. And I'm not giving an endorsement, but I'm a smartphone lover, believer, and an iPhone addict, okay? Apple did it. Now, their watches, nah. But the phone, oh man, that's a Lamborghini. It's a Jetstar. Make it happen. So in corporate, you didn't really have to have that kind of stuff. Because I mean, who the heck cares if you have a smartphone? Okay? But in the business world, oh, you need to be on top of it every single day. You need to know what your story has to look like. You haven't considered getting a professionally done resume. Now's the time to consider getting it done and upping on your skills, including your volunteerism, okay? That has merit in the marketplace. The sorrowful thing about what's happening today is so many people have just simply been asleep. And you can go to sleep in corporate America, because once you get comfortable in that job and you know everybody in your space, their ups, their downs, their likes, their isms, you can just kind of cool it. But I'm going to tell you, when you get out here in the marketplace, you have to be tighter than tight. And you have to be really on point. Now, there are jobs that do not require additional education, but they do require certain skill sets. The sales industry, which is how America eats, many of those people are not highly educated. However, they do know how to communicate effectively. They know how to engage, and they know how to sell. Because whether you disdain them or not, and you should never disdain a salesperson, because salespeople kept you fed. Salespeople keep everybody fed. They keep the wheel turning. If people aren't buying, then nothing happens. And you can say, well, I do all my shopping on internet. Well, who do you think made the decision to get those shoes on the internet? Somebody had to be sold. Salespeople do all the above. The top of company. Our presidents are all super salesmen. Why do I say that? They actually got your support for that stuff. We were like, yay! I can't stand you, but yay! Everybody likes to be sold something, all right? You may not want to be the salesperson, and that's too bad for you. Because if you're parenting, you need to know about sales skills. Because dealing with teenagers, you're either going to be a murderer or you're going to be a great salesperson. One or the other. Did I say it? I'm not advocating that you kill your kids. But I am saying to you, there are times during their teenage years where you're just like, I think I've left Earth, and when I come back, pinch me and tell me I'm alive and tell me they're gone. Well, they're not gone. They're just teenagers, okay, trying to work it out the best way they can. And if you trained them well, they'll come through it. They will. It may be 40, but they will come through it. They'll get it together. So, in the sales industry, you don't usually have to have a whole lot, but you do have to have tremendous communication skills with all kinds of people. And I share this particularly with older workers. Let me tell you something. That smirk doesn't work. That smirk may have worked in your job. Everybody just said, well, he smirks all the time, or she smirks all the time. But that doesn't work in the marketplace today. There are all kinds of people running around with all kinds of behaviors. And your job is to cut through that and to see and to know at the end of the day that you've helped them and they appreciate it. There is an excellent, excellent article in this month's Fortune magazine. You know, I'm a prolific reader. I read everything. I mean it, from Chinese stuff all the way across the map. I love to stay on point. And the only way you're going to stay on point, that's exposure again, one of those 3 E's: experience, education, exposure. Reading and learning about other people is about exposure, because then you find out, whoa, this is really kind of nervous. Fortune magazine, the one with the human and the robot hand on the cover, that lists the global 500 international companies. They have an article in the middle of it, about page 100, that talks about the changing and new workplace. And they talk about how hard it is going to be for many men to make it in this new workplace. Because gone are the days where you could belt out orders and expect people to jump with it. Now you've got to be collaborative and cooperative, and you've got to make room for everybody's differing personalities. So if you are a driver type A, which incidentally I am. And folks, I have had to make changes, big changes, because you've got to get along with people, okay? And that particular Wall Street, military, salute, that is over. That's done. We got a big world. People talk different languages. People embrace different philosophies, different religions. I'm a Christian. But am I going to have a fight with a Buddhist? Or be angry at an atheist in a workplace environment? I better not, because HR is going to boot me out the door. You have to be willing to deal with people where they are and to embrace their positives and minimize the negatives and get along. And if you don't have a mindset to do that, then my God, don't do sales. That's the first thing. Stay away from sales of any kind, whether it's insurance sales, because you don't know whose house you're going to be in, and you don't know who's going to be in your office, okay? I have clients that are Chinese, Taiwanese, Arabs, Africans, black people, white people, young people, gay, everybody, because everybody's going to die, and I offer solutions, okay? So I don't have issues. And I get very, very put out with people that tell me, well, you need to do this. And I'm telling them, no, I need to help them. That's what I need to do. I don't need to leverage my business as a religious platform. That's why I go to church. That's what they do, okay? So I say this because Fortune magazine, the one with the robot hand and a human hand, has a phenomenal article about the changing culture. And it is a must read for anybody over the age of 50, but particularly males, because I am so serious. If they do hire you because you got all these stacking, smoking credentials and you were just rough roaring, and you bring that stuff into the workplace today with a lot of females, some pregnant, some whatever, and you do that kind of stuff and communicate to them in a way that is offensive. And when I say offensive, I had a discourse with a gentleman, and he made a comment that my comments would suggest that I was of a particular sexual persuasion, and I checked him right then, and I said, "Excuse me, sir. What gives you the right to conclude that because I have a certain disposition about a matter, that you can take that and begin to ascribe a name to it in terms of my sexual preference, you are out of order. And if you don't clean up that act, you're going to find yourself not only out of order with me, but you're not going to be able to get a job anywhere. Because people aren't feeling it like that today. People just want to get along, they want to take care of children, they want to love, they want to be loved, they want to be able to be free. This is a mantra all over the world, by the way. It's not limited to freedom-loving, crazy Americans. The whole world wants to be free. People really want to be free. They want to take care of their families. They want enough food to eat. They want a nice place to live. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They want clothing. They want to be able to be comfortable. They want to laugh. These are the things people want. And yet they're facing all this other garbage because of this. And God forbid, that's why you got let go. Because when companies do make layoff decisions, I hate to be this way, but it is what it is. They do look at your personnel record. They look at more than your attendance. They look at all the pluses about you. They look at all the negatives about you. And they see if you're a team player. They see if you can make it. And if you've had an attitude on a job, you're probably going to be let go. Okay? Don't be surprised. Don't take attitudes into a workplace, because all it's doing is setting the stage for you to get the boot whenever they make some cutbacks. And it is inevitable that they will. So we've got that going on. Some other things you want to do as a part of your transition. You want to be willing. As I said, it starts with that budget and looking at where your assets are. Okay? Now, hopefully, if you have a home, you have just about paid off that home, or close to. Because, unfortunately, you cannot refinance your home when you have no job. So one of the things I do encourage people to do is, while you're still working, refinance your home to a shorter rate, shorter term. And so if you're 30, shorten it down to a 15. If it's a 15, shorten it down to a 10, and negotiate the lowest interest rate you can have. Okay? Why? Because it's a bear trying to make mortgage payments when you can't even get enough food to eat at the end of the month. And despite what the rumors may say, the number one reason for foreclosures is not predatory loans, it's because of job loss and disability. People don't have their cushions, they can't make the payments, and they begin to just flip and freak out because they can't do it. If you're a two-income family and one of you loses your job, then you tighten it up, and the other one that still has a job focuses on the criticals. Everything else, cut, done, next. And don't be secretive to the children, and don't be gloomy, okay? Don't be any of those. Engage your children. Let them know what's happened. Let them know that this is not a time for any nervousness, that we're going to get through this as a family. And this is how we're going to do it. And give them chores to do. And encourage them to go out and begin to solicit the market themselves. Cut grass. Babysit, so that they will have their own money. You do them a good service by teaching them early how to sustain themselves, because children all over the world, let me tell you something, when I was in China and we were eating dinner, and children at night come out and entertain you while you're eating dinner, because you eat outside. And they'll play violin, they'll sing, and you give them tip money. I'm talking about children are doing this, okay? Parents are doing other things. Children are out there entertaining and making money. They're learning you have to work to make money to live. If you don't train them to make that connection, they're going to substitute work for you, which is, if I need money, that's their job. And that's how I'm going to go through life. If I need money, that's their job. We want to change that conversation. We want children to know that there's honor in being able to use their talents to do things. and to do things well. So that's important as well. I want to wrap up today's segment about what to do if you lose your job. These are just practical solutions. And I tell anyone that the longer you're out of the job market, the harder it is to get back in the job market. And when you've been out long enough, it gets even more difficult. A number of quick industries that you can get quickie money. Not quickie, you have to go through some things. Like I said, sales, including insurance. I'll be honest with you, I'm always hiring agents. I need good agents to sell, okay? I'm serious. You got to sit for exams. You can't have a criminal record. You got to do all that, okay? That's a fact. But insurance is extremely lucrative. And if you love people and you love helping people, you're going to love that industry. It's not the only industry. Same thing for anything on Wall Street. You have to go through your licensing and credentialing. You can do it. But you can also, on a much more practical level, don't forget the power of substitute teaching. Find out what your state and local laws are. Many, many people, if you have a college degree, you can substitute teach. It's not high compensation, $80 a day on the low end, but you know what? It's money coming in until you can transit into something better rather than feeling discouraged. There are other opportunities. Again, Google opportunities when I lost my job and see what other people have to say. I'm not the only authority about these things. And I really don't consider myself an authority at all, other than I'm committed to helping you to get through tough times. And we are in tough times, and I wish I could tell you that times are going to get better, but times are not going to get better. But you will get better because you will be empowered to survive and thrive during these chaotic, turbulent times. I'm Michelle Graves on today's segment, What to Do When You Lost Your Job. And again, as always, I appreciate you viewing. I hope that my comments and sharing has been helpful and will be helpful for your family in the days ahead. In closing, I love you dearly. I send you peace, and God bless you until the next time. You take care. Bye-bye.